Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm Dr. S.K. Singh, holding a PhD in this field. Today, we will be discussing the qualifications of laminar airflow systems. I'm excited to share insights on this important topic with you. In this session, we'll cover the basics of laminar airflow, its design principles, and the key qualifications that ensure these systems operate effectively. Let's get started and explore this fascinating area together. Let's talk about laminar airflow. Laminar, or unidirectional airflow, refers to air moving in parallel layers with minimal cross-mixing. This setup is crucial because it effectively sweeps airborne particles away from critical areas, helping us maintain a sterile environment. The key point here is that this airflow pattern is essential in ISO Class 5, or Grade A clean zones, especially for aseptic processing. You'll notice in the diagram how the air flows either vertically or horizontally in a uniform, smooth manner. Now, when we compare ISO classes, ISO 5 allows a maximum of 3,520 particles per cubic meter for particles measuring 0.5 micrometers, which is equivalent to grade A standards. In contrast, ISO 7 and 8 environments, like buffer or anterooms, have higher particle limits and don't typically utilize laminar airflow for sterile operations. Why does this matter? Because only ISO 5 environments receive laminar airflow, or LAF, to ensure the sterility of the processes happening inside. This setup is a cornerstone in maintaining the strict cleanliness required for aseptic manufacturing. Let's take a closer look at the key regulations and guidance that shape cleanroom standards. First, we have ISO 14644-1 and ISO 14644-3, which set the classification and testing methods for cleanrooms. These standards are essential for defining cleanroom cleanliness levels and ensuring they meet specific criteria through rigorous testing. Moving on, the EU GMP Annex 1 emphasizes the importance of unidirectional flow in Grade A zones, especially in aseptic manufacturing. This unidirectional airflow is critical to prevent contamination and maintain product integrity. Similarly, the FDA guidance and USP Chapters 797 and 800 require controlled airflow systems to protect aseptic processes. These guidelines ensure that the environment remains sterile and safe for pharmaceutical production. Finally, WHO GMP standards align closely with ISO and other regional requirements, emphasizing the importance of consistent environmental controls across different regulatory frameworks. Collectively, these regulations underscore the importance of strict environment control, airflow management, and testing protocols to ensure product safety and quality in sterile manufacturing. Let's talk about the installation qualification process. First, we want to confirm that all components have been installed correctly. It's crucial that everything is in its proper place and functioning as intended. Next, we check the HEPA filters. It's important that they are in place and free from any physical damage because they play a key role in maintaining air purity. We also need to document all equipment IDs and serial numbers. This helps us track and verify each piece of equipment accurately. Lastly, we examine the HVAC ducting to ensure it matches the design specifications, especially for unidirectional flow, which is vital for maintaining a sterile environment. Now, moving on to qualification as a whole. The main goal here is to make sure that the installed, operational, and performance aspects of the LAF systems meet both regulatory standards and science-based criteria for aseptic processing and contamination control. We typically break this down into 3 phases: IQ, which is installation qualification, OQ, operational qualification, and PQ, performance qualification. Each step ensures that the system not only works properly, but continues to do so reliably, supporting our overall mission of maintaining a sterile environment. Now, let's take a closer look at operational qualification, or OQ. This phase involves a series of tests to ensure that the systems are operating correctly and reliably. For example, we measure airflow velocity, which is crucial for confirming proper airflow patterns within the room. We also use smoke visualization to see how air moves, helping us identify any turbulence or dead spots. Additionally, we perform HEPA filter integrity checks through aerosol challenges to verify that the filters are working effectively. Pressure differential checks are also important, as they help us ensure that the pressure differences across filters and barriers are within acceptable ranges. When measuring airflow, a common practice is to use an anemometer at the working height or just below the filter face to get accurate readings. These tests are essential steps to validate that the environment maintains the required cleanliness level. Moving on to performance qualification, or PQ, this stage is all about validating that the system performs under real production conditions. We repeat particle count tests during actual operation to make sure the environment stays within the ISO 5 particle limits even when the system is in use. It's important that operators and equipment are present during these tests, as they reflect typical working conditions. We also test under worst-case scenarios, such as maximum personnel movement, to ensure the environment remains stable even under challenging conditions. The key acceptance criterion here is that the environment consistently meets ISO 5 standards during dynamic, real-world operations. This step confirms that the cleanroom performs reliably during everyday use. Finally, as we continue with qualification, it's vital to remember that these steps are interconnected. They build confidence that the environment is not just theoretically compliant, but practically maintained under normal and challenging conditions. This comprehensive approach helps us ensure the integrity of the clean environment, which is fundamental for quality and safety in our processes. Let's talk about the air velocity mapping protocol. First, how many points should we measure? According to ISO 14640-43, we take the square root of 10 times the room area in square meters. So, for example, if your room is 9 square meters, you multiply 10 by 9, which gives 90, and then take the square root, approximately 9 readings in total. It's recommended to have at least one measurement per HEPA filter cell to ensure proper airflow. Now, moving on to airflow velocity. Industry guidance suggests that a typical velocity at the workplane for uniform unidirectional flow should be around 0.36 to 0.54 meters per second, with a tolerance of plus or minus 20%. So, if you measure an average velocity of 0.45 meters per second, that falls nicely within the acceptable range. If any measurement point falls outside this range, it's important to investigate the cause, whether it's an obstruction, a filter issue, or something else affecting the airflow. Keeping these measurements consistent helps maintain a controlled environment, which is crucial for the overall integrity of our cleanroom or controlled environment. Let's take a closer look at the particle count test. This test involves using a calibrated particle counter that can detect particles of 0.5 micrometers or larger. The goal here is to ensure that the environment meets the strict ISO 5 standards, which require a particle count of no more than 3,520 particles per cubic meter. In the example data table, we see two test conditions, at rest and in operation. During both conditions, the particle counts were 2,800 and 3,000 respectively. Both of these numbers fall well below the acceptance limit, indicating that the environment is maintaining the cleanliness level required for ISO 5. This test is crucial because it helps us verify that our cleanroom or controlled environment is performing as expected, whether it's idle or actively in use. Keeping particle counts low is essential for protecting sensitive processes and ensuring product quality throughout our operations. Let's talk about HEPA filter integrity testing. The main method involves an aerosol challenge, which typically uses a substance like PAO, and then we measure the filter's performance with a photometer. The critical acceptance criterion here is that we should see no more than 0.01% penetration of the aerosol through the filter. To put this into perspective, let's consider a calculation example. Suppose the challenge aerosol upstream, before the filter, contains 10,000 particles. If downstream, after passing through the filter, only 0.8 particles are detected, That means the penetration is 0.008%. Since this is less than the 0.01% threshold, the filter passes the test. This testing process is essential because it verifies that the filters are effectively trapping particles and maintaining the high standards we require for clean environments. It's a clear way to ensure ongoing filter integrity and safety. Let's take a closer look at air changes per hour, or ACH. This is a key metric when we're talking about air quality and ventilation. The ACH formula helps us determine how much air needs to be exchanged in a space within an hour. It's simply airflow in cubic meters per hour, which equals the area of the room times the height, times the ACH. Now, for a practical example, imagine a room that measures 4 meters by 3 meters, with a ceiling height of 2.5 meters. The volume of this room would be 30 cubic meters. When we look at standards like ISO 5, the target ACH is usually around 240 to 480. Let's say we aim for an ACH of 300. Using the formula, we multiply the room volume, 30 cubic meters, by 300 ACH, which gives us an airflow of 9,000 cubic meters per hour. That means we need to supply 9,000 cubic meters of clean air each hour to maintain the desired air quality. This example highlights how ACH directly influences the amount of ventilation we need to achieve our air quality goals, balancing safety and efficiency in our environment. Let's talk about documentation, which is a crucial part of maintaining a compliant and effective cleanroom environment. First, you'll need to keep various documents like protocols, including installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification, which ensure everything is installed, operated, and performs as expected. Then, standard operating procedures or SOPs are essential. They provide clear instructions for routine processes. Calibration and test certificates are also vital, as they verify that equipment is functioning accurately. Additionally, keeping records of smoke study videos and photos helps demonstrate airflow patterns and containment. Particle count and airflow mapping records are equally important. They provide data on the environment's cleanliness and airflow performance over time. The key point here is that inspections and audits rely heavily on this documented evidence. Proper documentation not only supports compliance, but also helps in identifying and troubleshooting issues. Remember, thorough records are the backbone of a reliable and compliant cleanroom operation. Let's take a closer look at some key points here. First, laminar airflow plays a crucial role, especially in maintaining unidirectional control, which is essential for Grade A or ISO 5 environments. This kind of airflow helps prevent contamination by ensuring that particles move in a single, controlled direction. Next, when it comes to qualification, it's important to remember that we follow a structured approach, specifically IQ, OQ, and PQ, meaning installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification. All of these are documented with detailed protocols to ensure consistency and compliance. Moving on, we need to adhere to velocity and particle limits, which are driven by ISO standards and good manufacturing practice norms. These standards set clear thresholds to keep our environment safe and within regulatory requirements. And finally, calculations are a valuable tool. They help us justify that our airflow systems are capable of meeting these standards effectively. They provide a scientific basis for our design and operational decisions, ensuring we stay compliant and maintain the highest quality standards. For further support, please contact us. If you have any questions or need additional information, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help ensure you have all the resources you need. Thank you for your attention and participation today.